I just finished a video on HST. That's the largest hotel REIT that's public. 13 billion market cap. Not a huge company, but decent size. They used to be known as Marriott Hotels, or Marriott. I think Marriott Host it was called. Let me see. Host Hotels. Okay. Host Hotels and Resorts. So it used to be part of the Marriott Corporation. Well, I guess no, it was called Host Marriott Corporation. Marriott is a massive company. This was just a small part of the larger Marriott called Host Marriott. As you know, these big companies, they have so many divisions. It's almost like there's like 50 companies within one company. Especially when you start as one company and then you keep acquiring companies over the years. And sometimes when you acquire a company, it absorbs into your main company, but it's still operating as if it was a separate company. Bob, what's up? Oregon. Is it Oregon or Oregon? I remember in a video, I think it's Oregon. Oregon. Well, it's spelled Oregon, but people say Oregon. Oregon. Okay, well, that's another way to pronounce it, Oregon. I've been working at a real estate developer. It's almost 3 months, and we develop hotels, but we mainly develop properties for retail stores to operate in. Like we may develop a property, and then a McDonald's goes into the property, so they. So we have to actually, this is what a real estate developer does for the most part. They buy property, they buy land. Land is usually not too expensive. It's not cheap to buy land, but the big cost is constructing a building. So you buy land, say you drop $1 million on land, and then you have to build the structure. Depending on what you want. If you want like a little apartment building with 6 units, that's what you build. If you want to build a massive shopping center where 50 stores could be in, so it could range a lot. But we generally buy land, and we don't really buy shopping centers. We buy land where 1 or 2 businesses go into. So then we have to, so I'm actually learning a lot. So this is called horizontal, the land part. Horizontal meaning like you have to get all the, you have to get licenses, then you have to get different engineers and contractors to excavate. There might already be a building on the land. Maybe it's an old maybe it was a tire store. They sold tires, but the business went bankrupt. So you might have to demolish the old building, and then you have to excavate. You have to maybe remove the dirt. You have to make sure the foundation is solid before you build a structure. Because depending on how high your building is, there's certain things you have to do to the soil to make sure it holds it. I don't know anyone else who loves them as who does them as clean as you are. You're the Lynn Alden. Thank you, Bob. That's really nice of you. I appreciate that. So the horizontal part is you also got to get permitting. You have to get, there's a lot of different permits. That's part of the horizontal. And also part of horizontal is like, PG&E. So you have to get like the pipes. You have to get all the, you have to be able to like, when you set up the property, they need, the person who operates the unit, they need to have electricity, water, gas. So that's all beneath the ground. So you have to get that all prepared. You might have to pay PG&E $50K to build that infrastructure for you. So that's the horizontal part. So say it cost you $1 million, say $500,000 to buy the land, and another $500,000 just to pay people to fix it up. And then the vertical. So the vertical could range from $1 million to $100 million, depending on how, obviously big the structure is. So say you did, you can't, you have to market the land or the site, and say McDonald's came to you and said, oh, we have a franchisee, because McDonald's is a franchise, who's interested in this location. So they may sign a contract with you, a lease agreement. So ideally you want to get the place rented out if you can before you even have the structure built. Maybe there's two, you're gonna fix the land for two businesses, maybe a McDonald's, and next door is say a gas station. You might have like a Hess or whatever, a BP, that's interested in getting that gas station set up. So you just have to get it set up, the infrastructure, because McDonald's has their own designs. So whatever business goes into it, you just have to provide a shell, like an empty shell. And then they do the painting, they do the carpeting, stuff like that. So this could cost you $3 million to get that whole set up. You might have to build possibly a parking lot, right? Because McDonald's, they probably want to have their customers be able to park. You have to set it up where there's a drive-through. All these create additional costs. Same thing, you have to put a bathroom in the places. You have to get the shell set up so any business could just move in. And usually you would provide TI, tenant improvement. So you might give the tenant a couple $100,000 because you don't want to do all the work yourself, because you don't know exactly how McDonald's or any business wants to design their store. And this process could take 6 months, but it's probably going to take closer to a year and a half, because everything takes longer. If you want to buy the land, you have to contact the person that owns the land, and then you have to negotiate a price. You have to get the permitting. You have to go through closing. You might have to set up an escrow. That could take a couple months right there. It could take you a year just to find land. So it depends. This process could take 3 to 6 months. And sometimes you have to wait for one thing to be done before the next thing is done. Sometimes you could do things at the same time. And then this and this part could take 6 months to a year to build the vertical part. You buy land, construct, and then ideally you would have tenants set up already. It's possible that you don't have tenants, but you want to try to do as many things at the same time. See, Alex, what's up? just like if you're buying the land, you want to maybe research GCs, general contractors that can help you construct the units, or because it's not as straightforward as just like building something. You have to, like I said, you have to deal with like the piping beneath the ground. You have to be able to set it up where the person has access to a bathroom. So you have to kind of work with a lot of different engineers and contractors to get that stuff set up. Then there's a physical structure. You have to buy like various products like brick or steel or concrete, whatever type of structure you're going to build. And there's a lot of designing along the way. And you can't even do things until you get certain permits in place. Like legally, you can't. Like say, for instance, one of your tenants was a cannabis retailer. That actually might be illegal in that location. The town may have an ordinance saying you can't sell alcohol, cannabis in this particular location, because some cities have certain locations where you can put a business, and other locations it's prohibited. But I'm just learning a lot of this stuff too. So, and then once we finally get it built and then rent it out, we can either flip it, we can sell it to somebody. We want to sell it for more than we paid, or we can just service it. So every month, McDonald's, $15K a month in rent. The gas station, $12K a month in rent. So we just collect the monthly rent payments. And obviously, if we do that, we have to maintain the property. So if something goes wrong, we have to fix it. Or if a tenant moves out, we have to find another tenant to move in. Well, federal law says it's illegal, but state law says it's legal in some states. So I've seen cannabis places in California where you can go to them. Most landlords don't want a cannabis retailer. They won't even accept it. Because if you're a landlord, you don't have to accept a business. Like, for instance, McDonald's wants to pay you $15,000 a month rent, but say Jack in the Box wants next door. You may not want two fast food places next to each other. You don't want to maybe upset McDonald's, because a lot of times a business doesn't want a competitor that close. Some businesses don't care. So we're working on a lot of different projects right now, like a dozen. And some we're renting out the property already. Others we're still constructing the property. So it's a process. So yeah, so I was doing a video on HST, host hotels and resorts. Let me know in the comments. We can do other videos, but ideally, there's a lot to talk about in this one sector. And these are all REITs. It's in the industry, REIT, hotel, motel. And as you know, REITs pay a really high interest, a really high dividend, because REITs, pay out 90% of profits to dividend shareholders. That's the biggest setback of becoming a REIT, because you can't just be a REIT. You can't say, I'm opening up a grocery store and I want to be a REIT, because REITs, avoid income tax. Most of the money they earn, most of their profits aren't taxed. So that's why businesses become REITs, to avoid paying taxes. So there's more money left over to give to the shareholders. Now, why doesn't every business become a REIT? Well, you have to operate in real estate or natural resources to be a REIT. You can't just open up any business and be a REIT. So you have to be in certain types of businesses, and you have to give out, most of your profits have to go back to the shareholders, which means there's not much money left over to grow the company. So REITs tend to have to take on a lot of debt. You can see the average debt to equity ratio is 3, which means the average company, for every $1 of equity, they have $3 of debt. Ryman is really dragging up the average. They're close to 20. So that does make it hard to grow, because when you're a public company, it's all about growing and scaling your business. You can't really become a public company and just try to make a little money each year, and you have to really grow. That's the whole point of being a public company. That's the only reason people will invest in your company, if it's growing and scaling, because you want to get a good return on your investment. Because if you open a business, you could open a business that doesn't even make, it's not profitable. The business can have, say $1 million of revenue every year and $1 million of expenses. So profit is 0. Does anybody know why I'm saying this is a fine business? To have a business with $1 million of revenue, $1 million of expenses, and 0 profit year after year after year. Do you know why? Does anybody know why this is? How? Not a public company. I'm not talking about a public company. I'm talking about a private small business. Why is this? How? Who is this? Who's benefiting from this business? Let me know. This is a good it's a good exercise. It helps you understand how business works, and then it's once you understand kind of on a high level how businesses work, it helps you become a better investor. So who benefits? I mean, I can think of a lot of people that benefit from this business. Obviously, we don't know anything about the business besides this, but I'm saying this is a good business. The person who owns a business is very happy. They've been doing this for 20 years, and say that year after year they have similar, maybe 5% growth each year. There's no shareholders. Say it's a private company. A guy owns a business. Maybe him and his wife own a business. I mean, I guess you could say they're the shareholders. But it's really just a mom and pop business. But I'm gonna tell you, there's 100 people. Now I'm gonna go 1,000 people, 10,000 people that benefit. I'll give you a hint. 10,000 people that benefit from it, and there's 20 people that really benefit. They benefit a lot from this business. So what am I getting at? Because a lot of people think oh, this is terrible. I would never want a business that doesn't make any profit. Customers, exactly. So just pretend this is a convenience store in upstate New York. I don't know, in Ithaca, New York. Yeah, customers that benefits because people need access to food. Not everybody wants to go to a supermarket and go stand in line. So there's a little convenience store. A lot of people are close to the store, so it really benefits them. But you can't survive on a business just by helping the community. Of course, you want to help the community, but if $1 million of revenue, so this convenience store, they spend $400K to buy products to sell in the store, right? And this is like the food, toiletries, all these different things that they buy to sell in their store. You could think of anything, drinks, various products. So they spend $400K, then they spend $100K in OpEx. Can you give me an example of operating expenses? And they spend $500K in cost of revenue. No, Bob, I'm not making it complicated. There's no debt, no debt at all on a business. Yeah, operating expenses. The main one is rent. He might spend $4,000 a month in rent. Yeah, electricity, garbage. Let me do an income statement. I think it'll be. And you could just assume revenue goes up 10% a year, kind of moves in inflation. So revenue is $1 million. I'm going to break up cost of revenue into two areas. There's products. So you have to buy the physical products to sell in a store. I was $400K. I remember I did this example for a friend who was trying to understand like his business. So the year after year, this is how the business looks. Say this is 2023. And let's just say 2024. It's pretty much always seems to be the same thing with this business. They pretty much just move with inflation. So in 2023, revenue of $1 million. I broke up cost of revenue so I can kind of convey what I'm trying to talk. Hey Neil. So yeah, so it's a convenience store. And Okay. So in 2023, revenue, that's how much they charge their customers for all the products they sold. They paid $400,000 for all the products, the food, the drinks that they sold to their customers. Non-product cost of revenue, this is what I'm trying to get at. So their gross profit in 2023 was $100K, and operating expenses, rent was their big one, that maybe half their operating expenses. And then you have, there's a ton of little things, maybe you needed to repaint the store. So that was an extra $5K this year. But they make no profit. So this is what I'm trying to get at. This area right here. This is why this business, I'm saying, is a because it doesn't make any money, the business, but it provides jobs, which is what, like, 99% of the businesses out there are not public. 99% of the businesses in the United States are just regular small businesses. Some are small, like this one. Some are a lot smaller. Some have $1 billion of revenue. They're still not public companies. But you have, say Jim is the owner, and he lives in a small town. So this is a good salary for someone in his town. And Jim's the owner. Mary is his wife. Mary takes care of the kids, but she works part-time at the store. She gets $35K. She may get $30 an hour. Then you have the Joe's the manager. And he makes $75K. He's a full-time employee. Then you got Louise, who's the assistant manager. She's Joe's backup. She's also a full-time employee. And then you got, then you got 10 part-time employees. I knew that was going to work. So 245. Let's make it 20. That's kind of a lot for a part-timer. What the hell? Come on. Okay, this is why this business is successful. You have Joe, who can take care of his family. He gets $90,000 a year. He's able to give his wife a part-time job. It would be hard for her to find work because she has to take care of the kids. Then you have Joe, he also has a family. He needs to make money to provide for his family. Louise, her husband works, but doesn't make a lot of money, so it's helpful that she has a job. Then you have 20 part-timers, some in high school, some in college, some adults that just need some side money. So even though they don't make any profits, which doesn't really matter because they have $500K to spread around to each other. And what do they do with the $500,000? These 24 people. Well, they pay taxes, right? And without tax dollars, you can't afford, a police force, fire, teachers. You can't afford to pay people to fix the roads when things go wrong. Also, these 24 people, they do pay rent. So they're supporting their community by whoever bought the place they rent at, they're able to give them money so they can continue providing housing. And then they go to restaurants in their community, right? And when they go to a restaurant, they're helping the person who owns the restaurant and the employees who work at the restaurant to continue working there. So this is just one business, but times this by like 1 million, because there's 1 million businesses like this, and there's nothing wrong with a business like this. Most jobs in the United States are from regular small businesses. Regular small businesses supply more jobs than almost anything. So that's what I'm saying. So you don't need to be profitable. If you are profitable, it's good for Jim. It helps Jim because maybe Jim can take more of a salary home, and obviously he's going to spend that money probably within his community, or Jim can possibly open another business. But when you invest in a company, you're looking for profits. Because if you're an investor in a business like this, you don't get anything, because all the money is going back to the within the business. It's staying in the business. But that's what a nonprofit is. I mean, Jim is not a nonprofit, but nonprofit is this is what a nonprofit does. It spends all the money, so there's no profits left over. And some nonprofits are actually pretty shady. There's some nonprofits that are not that helpful to the community. Even that's the idea of a nonprofit, is that they don't have to pay much in taxes, and they get all these kind of like, they get funding possibly. And the Jim's business, Jim has a for-profit business. The purpose of the business is to make a profit. In his case, he's just paying his salary. So in Jim's situation, his profit is $125,000. What him and his wife, that's his profit. So he's taking all that money. Is that helpful? Is that like kind of like convey the high level on like if you have a business? But could you imagine having a business, instead of 1 million, you had a similar business to Jim, but you had $1 billion of revenue. You had 20 convenience stores across your entire county, and you supplied 24 times 20. You supplied 480 jobs. Most nonprofits I've noticed have very high. Nonprofits, they give a lot to employees, especially the higher up people. Some of them make a ton of money, which is crazy. But so anybody who has a business, I think they're doing a great thing, because generally you're taking a risk, because there's a chance you can lose a lot of money, and you're supplying jobs. Hopefully you're doing that, and you're not and you're providing a product or service that people like. But most businesses do provide a good product and service. Most people are in business to make money, and only way to make money is to make your customers happy. Obviously, a REIT is way different than Jim's business, but a REIT just gives all its money back to its shareholders. So in this case, you could think of the 24 people, the 20 part-time workers, and these 4 full-timers as the shareholders in a sense, even though only Jim and his wife own 100% of the company. But if it's zero profit, it's not like Jim is benefiting. He's just getting a salary. So maybe we should talk about this. I don't want to get too boring. So I'm doing 3 videos. Hopefully I'll get them all done. I only did 1. I'm not doing as many videos. Like, it's hard for me to do a video a day. I'm just going to try to do like 3 a week. But anyways, so Host Hotels, 4.5% dividend. Ryman, 4.5%. But look, I'm doing Service Properties Trust, because it's 16% dividend, which is just crazy. And this is real. It's not like because sometimes if you see like a big dividend, I'm not saying it's incorrect. It's just that it's just based off of like, they happen to pay a special dividend last quarter, and they're never going to pay that special dividend ever again. So the yield is like 3%, but this past quarter it was 20%. So I would consider that as not a real dividend, because it's not going to happen in the future. But this is a real dividend. They pay it every month or every quarter. But this is a good thing to do. Look at the dividend history. There's no guarantee of the future, but to kind of maybe quell your fears about the future, look at the past. And you could see, let's just go. So you can see in the past, this is how much they pay. This purple line is their monthly dividend. Actually annual dividends. So in April 2020, they paid $2.16 in dividends. That's for the past 12 months. They actually pay this kind of greenish line on here. This is their quarterly dividend, 54 cents. But the past 4 quarters is $2.16. So they're paying 54 cents. But then COVID came and they dropped it from 54 cents. Let me show you. So you can see in 2014 they paid 49 cents. That's just for the quarter. And this is their quarterly dividend. So nice kind of slight growth. And then COVID came, so they had to cut their dividend. So they cut it to a penny. Some companies just like pay a penny just so so they can say, like in their kind of like press release, we paid a dividend for 20 straight years without missing one dividend. We haven't missed a dividend payment in 20 years, which sounds good. But if you look, so they just want to be able to say that. So they're paying a penny every quarter. They did bring it back to 20 cents, not as much as it was pre-COVID. So brought it to 20 cents. So if you look at the yield was up to 25% because the stock crashed, and it was looking at the past 12 months of dividends on a really low stock price. Now they brought it back. So will they maintain their dividend payment? Probably, unless there's another huge terrible thing that happens like COVID. They'll probably be able to continue paying the dividend, even increase it. The forecast for, well, I don't think it'll be 16% in 2026. Companies usually pay their dividend appropriate to their stock price. So they're probably going to either cut their dividend or the stock price will go up. Because I don't think they're going to. But you want to look at the underlying the assets that a company owns. You know, if you were looking at a company that sold VCRs, you know, not good assets. So if you look at a company that sold a product that people buy, maybe it is tough to kind of figure this stuff out because you don't know what's going to change. Obviously, supply and demand of like hotel prices, because if it is true, and I think it will be true, that we're going to see a lot of hotels, a lot of office buildings, you know, kind of go out of business because of you know, the cost to maintain them and how much they're receiving for rent. So it's just like any business. Like if there's you know, if there's like 50 EV companies and every time one goes bankrupt, it just helps Tesla because it's just people who can't buy an EV from where they used to buy it because the company's bankrupt. Now they have to go to Tesla if they want an EV. So you can see the yield was really low in 21 and 22. This always happens. Like people see these huge dividends. It was over 20%. And the only reason it was over 20% is because the stock came down. It was up here at 30 bucks. And then it fell to like $5. But it's still calculating based off the I wish, come on. I mean, it's pretty simple the way this works. So you can see in 2020, they paid $2.16. They were paying like 50 cents a quarter. Annual dividend. $2.16. Let's see. So in February 2020, the stock price, it looks like it was about 25 bucks. That's still a pretty high yield, 8.6%, but it's not a crazy high yield. It's not like unheard of. And just a month later, the stock goes from 25 down to $5. They're still paying the 216 because like that won't change until the next quarter, right? So the yield goes up to 43%. So some people buy the stock thinking they're going to get 43%, which of course they're not going to get, because what happens? They cut their yield to a penny for a quarter. So now it's 4 cents. So it went from 43% to 0.8%. So anytime a yield is above like 15%, you can't sustain that. It's impossible. They either have to cut their dividend or the stock price goes up a lot. So, but they are paying a yield that's pretty attractive. That looks like it's been kind of steady too, because it was 9% in April 2023, then 10.5%, then 11.5%, still 11.5%. So that's April 2024, 11.5%. So can they maintain this? Well, if company's paying an 11% yield, so from October 2022, so a year and a half, they've been paying a yield above 10%. So that could be a good indicator the stock price will go up a lot, because people should stop buying the stock, because they've proven they're going to keep paying that. It's been a year and a half. Okay, so how do we know if the company is going to, if it has a good portfolio? That's the hard part, right? So let's look at their yeah, don't go chasing yields and chasing these like stocks like Tesla, Nvidia. I know. I mean, we could have been rich. We could have all been millionaires if we invested in Nvidia. I guess if we put money into the lottery and get lucky, we can win $1 billion. But you just have to do things that make sense. Anybody can get lucky, but you can't. If your whole goal is to get lucky, you're probably going to run out of money before you get lucky, because it doesn't happen too often. And even if you did pick Nvidia, a lot of people can't hold that long, because if you put like 10,000 is a lot of money for some people. If you put 10K into NVIDIA, at one point your 10K, say it's 40K. You know, remember that big run up? And then remember it came down a lot to like 200 billion. And then your 10K is down to like, say 15K. And then, so you're annoyed, right? You're like, oh my God, it was up to 40 and now it's back on to 15. And you're saying, if it ever gets to like 40 again, I'm going to sell. So then like 6 months later or so, it's 40. So you're like, okay, I'm going to sell. I don't want to risk it to come back down to 15. But if you would have held on, you would have been at 200K. So it's just like, how do you know? How do you know the right time? You don't. So if you pick good companies, you hold them for a long term, you're probably going to make good money. I mean, I'm really happy. Like, I'm probably up about 100% in the past year and a half, mainly because of Meta. But like a lot of my stocks were finally coming together. Okay. So we'll look at that, but usually the presentation, the PowerPoint, it's kind of pretty user friendly. And it gives like kind of like I'm in a service now. I'm in the wrong service properties. This is the wrong company. They don't have a. $220 hotels, 38,000 rooms. They invested $6.4 billion. Oh, wait. Okay, so you have 220 hotels, but total properties, almost 1,000 total properties. Yeah, okay. 220 hotels, 749 net lease properties. This terrible fonts. They make it. California is their biggest location. So it's good to just understand what a company does on a high level. So when you get into like the numbers, you can absorb it a little better than just trying to. Okay, so here's a breakdown of their business. 37 extended stay hotels, full service. So that might be like one of those resorts where you can get like, food and like there's all these excursions inside and select service. So they have half their hotels or properties are in suburban areas, 25% are urban. They have airport hotels, those big resorts. So about half of them are upscale, 15% upper upscale. Okay. These are the kind of charts I like because it gives you kind of historical look at. So this is by month. So occupancy. So that's really important because when occupancy is like below 60%, That could be a problem. That's how you go to business if you can't fill the room up. There's always going to be rooms that aren't being used. It could just be for maintenance purposes. Maybe something broke in a room, so it's off limits for a week or two to fix something before you could rent it out to somebody. Or it could just be like in the winter during the week, just it's hard to rent rooms. The summer is easy. So ADR, average daily rate. So they're in the mid 100 range, the average daily rate. Like, do you know why RevPAR is always lower than average daily rate? Average daily rate is always going to be lower. I'm sorry, RevPAR is always going to be lower than average daily rate. So average daily rate. So let's say we have a hotel and we charge $100 per night. Okay, per night. I'm just going to assume it's always 100. Doesn't matter if it's June on a Friday or a Wednesday in November. I don't know. Let's just keep it simple. I don't want to like confuse with all this stuff. So it's always 100 per night. And let's just say we have 50 rooms in our hotel. And then June. So let's say I want to know, like, I asked my bookkeeper, I go, give me the ADR, average daily rate, and the RevPAR, revenue per available room. Give me for June, for the month of June. I want to see how we did for the month. Total. So in our hotel, there's 1,500 nights in June. Well, 1,500 possible ways to make money by renting a room. So if every room was occupied, that means I would get 1,500 nights, 1,500 payments. I think that's pretty clear, right? I don't know why I'm not saying that clearly, but if on the 1st of June, all 50 rooms were occupied, that's 50. If just on the very first day of June, right? Every single room was booked. Just in that one day, I would make $5,000, right, in revenue. I know you could. There's a lot of ways to make money. You charge room service, if people buy drinks, if you have a little restaurant, you can make money in a restaurant. But I'm just going to say we just have a hotel and nothing else. You can't, there's no amenities. It's either 100 a night or nothing. So in that one night, I could have made revenue of 5,000. So in one day in June, 5,000. But we know there's 30 days in June, right? So that's the max revenue if every single room was booked. But it's no hotel books every single night. Even if you have demand, even if there's enough demand to book every single night, no hotel can have every single night. There's a lot of things. Like I said, a common thing is somebody broke the window, or the key doesn't work. It got busted, the doorknob, or the plumbing broke. So that room is out of commission for the whole month. Even if people would pay for it, it's out of commission. We just can't rent it. And then, of course, there's the other obvious things is that you just don't have demand. Like on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, there's not as much demand as a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So of the 1,500 nights, we could have booked rooms. We booked 1,200 of those 1,500 nights. For whatever reason, 300 nights weren't being booked at all. And you could say maybe one room is where I lived in, or I had my friends or family stay. If I was there for a weekend, I would always keep one room open for myself personally or friends. So that's never getting booked. So that could be 30 nights, even if every other night was booked. So nights booked. So the actual revenue. This is for June. So the actual revenue for June is 120K because we booked 1,200 nights out of the possible 1,500. So now we have the information. The average daily rate. Well, it has to be 100, but because we charge. We charge 100 for every room, but most hotels don't charge the same for every room. Some rooms are more expensive, and weekends are more expensive than weekdays. So the average daily rate is always going to be $100 every time we look at the stat. But the RevPAR is always going to be different because we have to spread the 120,000 over all 1,500 rooms. So that's a difference. So our revenue per available room is $80 because we only booked 1,200 of 1,500 nights, and that's in June. And let's just say July, we want to do a similar exercise. There's 31 days in July. And let's just say it was a really good month, July. There's 1,550 nights, but we booked 1,400. Maybe there was a big convention, or it's a summer, so it's just easy to. So there's 1,550 nights in July. We booked 1,400. So our revenue per available room is $90. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay. My dog's getting old. He's getting close to 16 years old, so kind of just laying around mostly. Feel bad for him. But anyways. So occupancy is extremely important. Obviously, RevPAR and ADR are really important as well. But if you have the occupancy, you can there's a lot of things you can do to improve. But when occupancy is low, you can't really make it up by charging more. What I mean is, if you have occupancy, say 90% occupancy, even if you're not charging as much for a room, you can maybe make money other ways. You can charge for food. You can charge, when people use cable. I don't know. Okay, Bob. Thanks a lot. Talk to you later. So it got awesome, Bob. Thank you. That's really nice of you. Yeah. So when it's below 50%, that's not good. I think the average is in the 60s, maybe low 70s. It's always good to look at averages too, because if you're way below the average, you're just not doing a good job at managing average hotel occupancy. I would say it's close to 66. Occupancy is 66%. But if you're at 70%, you're obviously you're doing a good job. But you want to look at how much you're charging, because if you really lower your prices, you could see average daily rate is $147. I guess June is going to be a good month for any company, any hotel company. So I guess it's kind of like a factor of what month it is. Yeah, so that's a good thing to look at too. So if you're 50% in January, it's probably not that bad. But if you were 50% in May or June, that's a problem. So there's ways to make that up. You could lower the rates. Maybe that would increase occupancy. Maybe you can offer additional services. Are you investing in this or thinking about it? Oh, no, I'm not investing in this. I don't really invest in these types of companies. I know some people are, so. I mean, I think I don't know if I've ever actually invested in a hotel REIT. I invested in REITs definitely before. I'm trying to think of the last time. But it's a good. You see, the price is $5, right? For a share. If they rebound, and they're paying a 20-cent dividend. So that's why they have such a high yield, 16%. But let's just say, for instance, you did buy the stock, and it's a little risky because obviously it's come down a lot. And let's say in a year or two, maybe sooner, who knows? But let's just say they got back up to where they were. They were a $25 stock paying a $2.16 dividend. This is when you would crush it. If the stock came way back to where it was, it's totally back to pre-COVID levels, even better. Let's just say it's $35. Let's just $35. Let's say they're higher. They're up to $250 now. In July 2025, $35 stock, $2.50 annual dividend, 7% yield. So if somebody bought it in July 2025, this is what they get. But you bought it in July 2024, not July 2025. So you still get $2.50. Everybody gets $2.50 who owns the stock. But look at your cost basis. It's $5, and now you have 50% dividend. So you'd be killing it. But this is how I kind of learn about this stuff too. I may start talking about it like I am now, and I'm like, you know what? It's actually not that bad. So who knows if I will, but I generally don't invest in REITs. Nothing wrong with it. So you'd be crushing it. It's kind of like if you bought like one of those stocks, like the Apple or those types of companies a long time ago, and your cost basis with all the reverse stock splits is like 2 cents. Because when you buy a share for like $20, and then they do a split, so you have say you buy a share in 1995 of like this new hot IPO company, not IPO, a new hot stock at IPO or early in its IPO process. Like I bought Facebook in 2012 when they first started trading. Yeah, I would say older people are more likely to invest in REITs, maybe because of high dividends, but plenty of people invest in REITs. It's not like just for old people. And let's say in 2001, they did a 2-for-1 split. So now you have 2 shares. And let's just pretend they're trading at $20 today. So you're happy, you're up. And then in 2003, they do a 5-for-1 split. So now you're up to, and let's just say it's $18. Now you're up to 180. And in 2010, they do another 2-for-1. REITs are a good investment, especially if you can find undervalue. Yeah, anything is a good investment, right? If you can find undervalue. And let's say it really runs up, and they did a 10-for-1. It runs up to like $1,000 a share. And then after the split, So you own 200 shares. I mean, obviously, 27 years later. So it's not like most people, almost no, 99.9% of investors cannot wait 27 years. So you own. So what's your cost basis? Well, it's $25 in 1995. Trying to think, how do you calculate cost basis for splits? What did I do? So your cost basis is $12.50 because you pay $25. Your cost basis is always your initial price, what you initially paid for the stock. It could be if your house too. If you paid $100,000 for your home in like 1992, and now it's $1 million. Your cost base is 100. It's always going to be $100,000. That's your cost basis. And your cost basis in 2003 is $2.50. In 2010, it's $1.25. And it's 13 cents. So you're killing it on. Let's just say, so your dividend yield is 0 because they didn't pay a dividend. It's still 0. It's still 0. And let's just pretend they. What?
It's getting soupy.
Okay, thanks. Thanks. Okay. And let's just say they paid a $5 dividend per share. So that's your yield in 2010, 400%. Because your cost base is $1.25. You have to adjust for stock splits. Because now you own 20 shares and you pay $25 for those 20 shares. So your cost base is $1.25. Every shareholder gets $5 in dividends. I mean, you own 20 shares, so you get $100, but I'm calculating it on a per share basis. So your yield is 400%. If your friend bought the stock today, that's kind of high. Let's just do a okay. So if your friend bought the stock today, it's $26 a share. He gets $2. So he would get an 8% yield, but you get a 160% yield. And let's just pretend they raised the $3, the dividend. Your yield is 2,400%. So you're getting paid 24 times your investment because your cost basis is 13 cents. Isn't that exciting? The thing is with Meta, they never split. Not that it matters. The stock is $500, but like when I bought it, it was at IPO it was $40. I remember that pretty well. So I got 250 shares, $40 each. I can't remember when it was. I know it was 2012. I want to say like January 2012. And I worked at it. I did investment banking. I remember my coworkers like, oh my God, why'd you? That's such a waste. It's so overvalued. And I was down a lot initially. So in January 2012, $40 a share, 250 shares, $10,000. That's how much my value of Meta was. Then in March, like 2 months later, I was down like 50%. But now I'm up 13x. But I added more. I have a lot more than 250 shares. I added some in 2017. God damn it. Yeah, 2017, it was when it was 152. I added like what the hell? Oh my God. Why does it keep doing this? I bought 658 shares in 2017. And then in 2022, it was trading at 339. I bought in at 295 shares. Also in 2022, it came down. I only bought 9 shares. Yeah, 9 shares. You should open a Crumble franchise on Man. Their cookies are so good. Oh, Crumb? Okay, so this is SVC. This stock, right? You're talking about this stock? I think I waste too much time on these tangents. I get on. Can't figure out where I am. Okay. So you want to look at, I don't know if they'll talk about FFO. Usually funds from operations is a better indicator than free cash flow for REITs. It's net income plus depreciation minus the gain on sale of real estate. Because a lot of times with these companies, they're always like buying and selling real estate. And if like one quarter they have this huge gain from the sale of real estate, you have to kind of exclude that, because their business is not to buy and sell real estate. Their business is to build real estate and then rent it out. But EBITDA is fine. There's a lot of similarities with EBITDA and FFO. So EBITDA is fine. So EBITDA in June, it was high for obvious reasons. They lost money in January, but it wasn't a big loss. As long as they're making enough in prior months to cover these lower months, because every hotel or resort company is going to have half their revenue and profits in June, July, August. Okay, they're the 8th largest hotel company according to Smith Travel Research. They manage over 200 franchises. Okay, so they franchise hotels too. A lot of these hotel chains franchise. It's a good way to generate revenue with a limited amount of operational costs, because you just charge the franchisee a royalty, and usually like an upfront fee to buy into the franchise. But another good thing is about real estate companies is they get management fees. So they may get 3 to 5% to manage your properties. Agav, you never emailed me. I thought you wanted to do the thumbnails. Which are the best hotel REITs? Yeah, that's what we're trying to figure out. Which are the best? But there's a lot of fees real estate developers get. They're similar to hedge funds, which is interesting. They have a similar kind of like structure as a hedge fund, because they should get compensated. The real estate developing company, they should get compensated for building the hotel, because that's not easy to do. You have to buy the property, build a hotel, do all the permitting, all the costs. Sometimes it takes a year and a half to do it. So they get a lot of fees. I'm going to email you. I've been crazy busy. You have to hire landscapers like a Gov. They own 34% of Sonesta. So Sonesta, Amazon went up a lot the other day. What stock was that? There was a stock that went up like 50% last week, or maybe it's 2 weeks ago. It went up 50%. I can't remember why. Amazon's biggest holdings. And I knew Amazon was good. With Rivian, right? I knew Amazon was going to go up a lot because this stock went up. Maybe it wasn't Rivian, I guess. I thought it was Riv. No, it was. Yeah, Rivian went up. It was on June 21st. Okay. It was 1032, and then it went up like 50% to almost 15. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to get into too. If anybody wants to be part of my real estate hedge fund, let me know. We just need like $100 million, and we could buy land and build the properties and charge all these fees. Rivian. See, Rivian's biggest shareholder is Amazon. Because Amazon went up the next day because of Rivian. But not many people mention that. Yahoo owned, like, at one point, they owned like 20% of Alibaba. Wasn't it Alibaba? Yeah, okay. Yahoo owned 15% of Alibaba. And like I can't remember what year it was, like maybe in 2015 or something, when Baba was really shooting up way high. And Yahoo, no one really used Yahoo anymore. It was like Google totally took over that business. But the reason Yahoo stock went up a ton is because they owned 15% Alibaba. So the value of Yahoo was exclusively that stake in Baba. And most people don't realize how to, like, looking at a company that way, because a lot of times you only look at a company based on their profits, revenue and the profits and cash flow, which is a good way to do it. But like someone like Buffett, like, he'll dig in, and if he sees something like that, like they own a big chunk of this other company. Have you looked at Show? Yeah, I think I did Show once. So sometimes a company may not even be making any money. Like I could have a company, I say I have a public company, or I run a public company with $1 billion of revenue, and expenses are like I put $1 million. Sheesh, why is this? So I have a company, like publicly traded company, ticker SCO, and we lose $1 billion a year. So it's not a popular company. We never really make money. But let's just say I owned 10% NVIDIA. So just that part of my company, because that's an asset to the shareholders. It was 3 trillion NVIDIA. So that's $300 billion. That's so valuable. Just that part of it, and a lot of people who looked at my company would be like, "How could it be worth? Why is this company worth $300 billion?" They lose money every year. But if you understood that you also should look at not only, companies' profit and losses, look at their balance sheet. What are they invested in? Yahoo owned VIE of Baba. Well, right. It's the same thing as owning Baba. It's not like when Baba's stock price goes up a lot, Yahoo's stock price would go up a lot, and vice versa. It's just an interesting thing, like a nuance you wouldn't think about. But when a company like Amazon, why did they get 15% of Rivian? Amazon is just such a huge company, and they just negotiated with Rivian and said, we'll buy your EVs for all our warehouses. So we'll buy 50,000 trucks from you to use in our facilities. And you're going to make a ton of money because that's more trucks than you've sold ever. But we also want 15% of your company. And we'll tell people that we're buying from you, so your sales will go up. More people buy from you. So what do you mean it's worth zero? Variable interest. Well, if it's worth zero, I don't know why at one point Yahoo stock was worth so much. VIE refers to legal business structure in which an investor has controlling interest despite not having majority of voting rights. So if you had controlling interest in Apple or any big company, this is because controlling interest is arranged via contractual relationship. Characteristics include where equity investors do not have sufficient resources to support the ongoing. Right. Characteristics include we're equity investors. So Yahoo doesn't have the money to support a company's like Baba's growth, but they still benefit when Baba goes up or down. So they get controlling interest of Baba, but they don't have any voting rights. Which, who cares about voting rights? Like when you own stock in a company, you don't really care about voting rights. Invested VA do not participate in residual gains or losses. So it's similar to an SPV. I don't know if you guys heard a special purpose vehicle. So they passively hold assets. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video on it to explain it further, but there's no way it's not worth anything. Okay, so they own Sonesta. They own what, 34% of Sonesta. Yeah, Sonesta. Sonesta, largest hotels are in LA, Houston, Chicago. They're not public, are they? I guess it's a private company. It is privately owned. It is a little harder to value a privately owned company. It's like Berkshire owns Geico, but Geico is private. But you can still value it. It's just a little harder. There's not an active market buying and selling the security. They have equity investments in other companies, so they own like a Sonesta or other hotel companies that are worth $111 million. So it's just something to consider when you invest in a company. Sometimes a company may only be worth, if this is like something Buffett talked about, like he tries to find these kind of gems when he sees a company, their equity investments are worth, say, $111 million. And the stock price was down to like 90 million. There would be an obvious arbitrage opportunity. It's like you're guaranteed to make a profit. I wouldn't say guaranteed, but you have a better chance of making a profit. Net lease portfolios. So net lease, I'm actually used to the term triple N. I guess they call it net lease, triple N lease or net lease. So the lessee, the company leasing the property from you, is responsible for paying taxes, insurance, and maintenance. I wonder why they call it net lease and not triple N. If there's a difference. So Dex, do you think if a company had a controlling interest in another company, you think there's zero value in that to be able to control? I mean, you might not, like, say you had a controlling interest in somebody else's company, like you can't make the decisions and just say you have to do this and you have to pay out this much, you have to charge X amount of money to your customers, but you do hold a decent amount of weight, where if they tried to sell the company, you might be able to like block the sale, or I don't know. There's, but like I said, I should maybe do a video so it's just easier to explain. Okay, so net lease. So these are their tenants that lease from them. Popeyes, Arby's, Kohl's. But this is why people are concerned with commercial real estate. It's such a rough market. I'll be right back. Let me know, people, leave a comment, like Google VIE, variable interest entity, and let me know, like write the pros and cons, like the benefits of that, or the negatives. So yeah, so I think it's like 1/3 of their portfolio is the net lease properties. So so they're kind of dependent on these companies. I mean, it's not the end of the world if one of these companies goes out of business, but it does affect cash flow. So you kind of rely on these companies to be able to pay the monthly rent. And because turnover is a headache, because then when someone leaves, you're guaranteed, even in a perfect scenario, you're going to lose 3 months rent in a perfect scenario, but you're probably going to lose more, like 6 months rent, because you have to find someone to take over the space, and then the old person has to move out, and the new person has to fix it, because you have to wait for the old tenant to actually move out. You can't just start like fixing the property up while they're still there. So you have to wait for them to move out. So if, like, say you have Popeyes, paying like $15K of rent, and they said, okay, our last day is July 31st. They might have told you this 2-3 months ago. So obviously you're going to actively look for a new tenant. And it's not going to be as ideal, because a new tenant, probably wants to see the space, which I guess they could go inside the current Popeyes, but you'd have to wait till August 1st to start cleaning it up and getting it ready for the new tenant. Hey, David, what's up? And then you usually have to give money to the new tenant, like TI, tenant improvement. Or even if you don't give them any money, you have to wait. You usually give them like 2-3 months to get the place prepped to make it look like the way they want to make it look. So that's assuming you found someone right away. So it's just a headache. Have a look at AHT, which trading around $1, which doesn't look like they are pay a dividend. HT, I've did a video on them once. So something to look at when you look at these types of companies is if they have a contract in place. So if they have a really big tenant, right, in one of their they're taking a significant size of a property, and their lease is expiring this year, that could be a negative, right? But if they got a new tenant with a 10-year lease, that's like 10 years of locked in rent, assuming they don't go out of business. So your lease expirations, 82% expire after 2033. Popeyes, I don't think that's a public company, right? They're part of what's it called? AFC. Okay. Well, AFC. Okay. And in 1992, okay, AFC went public in 2001. On December 2004, AFC sold Churches to Arcapita, retaining Popeyes. Bottoms. That's the parent? I'm trying to. RBI. What am I talking? Yes. I knew. I mean, it was. Yeah, RBI is a public company. Okay, they have a good ticker, QSR, Quick Serve. So RBI is the parent of Popeyes. I should have known that. It's so hard to remember all these. Okay, RBI's Runs Batterton is a Canadian. It was formed in 2004 by the merger of Burger King. Yeah, Burger King and Tim Hortons. And they bought Popeyes. The company is the fifth largest operator. Yeah, so Tim Hortons and Burger King were their two big names, and then they added a third name, Popeyes. They're the fifth largest fast food entity after Subway, McDonald's, Starbucks, and Yum Brands. Yum owns KFC, Pizza, Taco Bell, and The Habit. They based if a chain restaurant is not a public company, then it's been bought. The devil? Oh, that's true. Probably a private equity firm. Yeah, they do buy out a lot of these companies. Okay, so this gives you a little more comfort. They have a pretty, a lot of their contracts or tenants' contract go out to 2033 or after. It's a pretty big runway because that's like 9 years, possibly more. But brick and mortar is just a killer. But like I said earlier, it's a killer. But if you can get it at a good price, like $5 a share. Okay, so their tenants, travel centers. I guess those, like if you drive along the highway, and then like right on the highway, there's like a little strip area with, a restaurant, a gas station, and a few shops. Those travel centers. And rent coverage, they show you their rent coverage for these entities. So how many times they can cover the rent? It's kind of low. Travel centers 1.75. But you want to cover it a good amount. That's kind of like cash flow over. I know it's different. So rent coverage. So let's just say for one like little strip mall, you receive $250,000. Monthly rent. But you have expenses, right? You might have taken on a loan because it was $20 million for a property. So you took a loan, let's say 10 million. You took a loan and you have to pay $500,000 per year. So this is your interest on that loan. And then you have obviously a lot of expenses. You have payroll, because you have to pay someone on your team to kind of like contact each store to make sure they pay their rent. And then if something breaks or something needs to get fixed. So your expenses are maybe like $70,000 a month. So each month it costs you $112,000 to maintain that property. And things, of course, change every time, So you can cover it 2.2 times your coverage. But if something changes a lot, like you have say this is a adjustable interest. So you pay like prime plus something. So if rates go up a lot, say rates go up and now you're paying $62,000. So now you went from 2.2 to like 1.9. Of course, and if you rent, one of your spots is vacant, and your rent goes down, say it's like it goes down 200, or it could go up too. So rent coverage 2.37 for the whole property. Travel centers, 68%. They have 175 travel centers on the two brands. Difficult to replicate real estate located near exits along the U.S. and trade system. So this is their debt. They've secured fixed rate, 24%, unsecured. And this is when the debt matures. So nothing's maturing this year or next. So there's a little breathing room for that. I notice all the big food companies like making new lows each day. No, it's brick and mortar businesses are getting just killed. People have lost faith in these physical retail places, because you keep seeing on the news like how people just walk in and steal things and walk out, and they can't do anything. They have to let them, and you keep seeing these types of things, and it gets in people's heads. But the great thing is, if you find a company that survives, and and then and some other companies say go out of business, a company like this can buy more real estate at a discount, then you really hit a home run. But you don't want to pick a company that goes out of business. So I don't know. It's tough. I see a lot of positives, and investing. It's kind of like everything is a bad investment. Well, anything could be a bad investment. Anything could be a good investment based on price, right? So if there was a dozen eggs for $100, that's a terrible. How good can these eggs be? But if it was, if you wanted to get a 2050 Camry for $100, assuming it worked, that's an amazing deal. So if you can find anything and it's a bad investment, and you can find anything it's a good investment, depending on how much you pay, right? Of course, you need an active market. If you buy like a car that doesn't run, even if you pay $100 for it, you need to have the resources to fix it where it could run, and then sell it. So that might not be a good investment. But if there's an active market out there, like the stock market, say there was an active market to buy cars, whether they run or not, and if you could get this Camry, the 215 Camry, no engine, for $100, and you sold it for $300, it's a good investment. You tripled your money, assuming you don't have to pay much in expenses, things like that. KFC China is separate stock. Yes, only for KFC in China. It has done really good because Yum is different than Yum C. Yum is, like Blade said, is domestic KFC plus Habit plus Pizza Hut. Yeah, KFC, Pizza Hut, Taco Bell, and the Habit. Yum China is a totally different company. It's just Yum in China. They spun off. Yeah, it's some of those KFCs are, I could see that really shady. Mostly only tech going up, which tech I feel I know tech keeps going up, and it's like you don't want to put money into tech. You feel like it's overvalued. You try to find a stock that's undervalued, and most of the time you lose money. I bought Etsy and I'm down 10%. Trying to find good values. Yeah, so Yum C is just it's all the Yum in China. Yum China is trademark of Yum Brands, paying 3% of sales to Yum. So they pay like a royalty to Yum. 8,500 stores, 1,100 cities. It's a pretty big company, right? 450,000 employees. And you can compare the two. So in 5 years, Yum China is down 29%. Yum is up 17%. The Chinese stocks tend to not do as well in the past 2 years. Yum China is down 35%. In 1 year, Yum China is down 44%. Yeah, so Yum China pretty much always trails Yum. Even if you go back to 2017, to the very beginning, Yum China is only up 20%, and regular Yum is up 100%. What did someone say? What? Oh, AHT, right? What other stock did you guys talk about? Oh, Ashford. Yeah, Ashford. I remember this. $1.42 million. Sheesh, that's a small market cap. Ashford. They are projected to have positive, no, negative. Yeah. Okay. So they did have 180 million of free cash flow in 2018. In 2021, it became negative, then positive in 2023, back to negative. So almost 200 million. They're probably not going to hit 200 million. Let's just pretend they negative 50 million. Let's just say they get back, they just do 100 million in 3 years, not half of what their peak was. I don't know why they make this so 20%. I don't know why they don't show the model anymore. You get it. So it's a really high whack. So even with a 20% whack, let's lower it. Let's say it's not 100 million. Let's say it's 50 million. Okay, this is our reverse DCF. No, somebody said what? Not a reverse. Somebody mentioned this last time. Something about DCF, a reverse engineer DCF. So if they get negative 50 million this year of free cash flow, negative 100 million, and then they get back to positive 50 million in 3 years, it's a $2 stock. Even at such a high whack. I mean, let's give them a normal whack, 13%. So it seems really, really undervalued, but it's kind of risky. I don't know if. Why is it going down so much? Well, they have a lot of debt. Yeah, they stopped paying a dividend in 2020. They haven't paid a dividend since then. GTN near a low, which bounced to the 20-day, but made a profit at 79 cents. GTN with 114 TV stations has great assets, could sell off. So why is Ashford? Why is Ashford struggling so much? They must have had a tenant that defaulted, or something really bad happened. Closes proves announced sale of Oceanfront. Trust sets second quarter earnings release. HP Hewlett Packard. $46 million. Look at the assets they own, and the market cap is only 46 million. Significant balance sheet and liquidity enhancements. They're selling assets. That's the problem. That's kind of like the last thing you want to do is sell assets, because you can't sell your business. It's hard to make money if you sell your assets. 500 million of net working capital. NWC per share, $14. That's net working capital. Net working capital is current assets minus current liabilities. So NWC is 519 million. So you take your current assets minus your current liabilities. So they have a lot of cash. What's the cash burn? I always dream about stuff like this. Like, I just want to find something like really, really low in price that everybody gave up on, and put like 50K into it and make like 50 million. It's never going to happen, because I'm never going to risk that much money on a stock like this. But Roaring Kitty did it with options. So they negative free cash for the past 2 quarters. Debt maturity schedule. So a lot of debt is due next year. So that's the problem. 2.6 billion is due next year. And they only have 400 million of cash. So they need to 6x the cash. And their market cap is only 46 million. So the market cap is, where's that? Okay. The market cap is 46 million, and 2.6 billion is due next year. So they have to sell their company. So debt, market cap. So they have to sell their company 62 times. Like, they have to dilute their shareholders 62x. So if you own 62 shares at $1 each, then the company needs to dilute you so you own $1 worth of stock instead of $62 worth of stock. I guess that's pretty significant. Well, how much are other assets worth? They could refinance. Maybe they'll get a deal with the bank or the lender to refinance. Net debt plus preferred equity. I want to see their balance sheet. I don't care about the average daily rate or room or revenue per. It's all about, can they stay in business? If they're still in business in 2026, you can 50x your investment. But if they go out of business, you'll lose everything. Forecasted growth by market. So negative net income, positive EBITDA, 56 million of EBITDA. But it's really meaningless because they don't put the balance sheet. Okay, let's just look at. What if we just invest in gold bars? And that's what we should be doing, right? So they have 2.5 billion of property value. So they pretty much have to sell all their properties, and they still won't have enough to. Oh, it's almost exactly how much the value of the properties are. I guess the only way you can hit a home run is if the property value doubles or triples within a year, and then they could sell it at a higher price. But I guess they're done, right? They're going to go to business. What if we just, interesting, GTN. Oh, great television. $5, 500 million. So they're trading below IPO price. Well, they were like under 22 cents at one point. They were over 20. $6. Let me see what Simply Wall Street values that company. Wait, wasn't it Ashford? Simply Wall Street has them at $34. This is why I wouldn't trust something like this. Analyst estimates $3. Because like I said, if you just base the company on like the cash flows it generates, you can 50x your investment. But like they're assuming they have no debt. And based on the cash flows, they're doing fine. But if you have to pay off, it's kind of like if you bought a home for $1 million, and then you have to pay $50,000 in interest every year, and then after 10 years, let's just say it's lower. Let's just say you pay 3% interest on your home for 10 years, And then at the end of 10 years, you have to buy your home outright. So you need to come up with $1 million after 10 years. Like, your cash flow is fine. Your say you make 100,000 at your job, so you get 70,000 after taxes. So you can pay the 30,000, and then you have money left over for, food and whatever. But then after 10 years, you have to pay the $1 million for your home. But let's just pretend your home is valued at 900,000. You can't pay it off, because even if you sell your home, you sell for 900,000, then you have to pay, fees or whatever. So you only actually get 820,000. After the sale, you get 820,000. So you have to sell your home and then pay $180,000 just to pay down your debt. What's the point? Why would you sell it? Just so you can give another $180,000? You just walk away. That's the only thing you can do. And what if you don't have 180,000? What if you only have 80,000 in the bank? So you'd have to sell your home, liquidate all your assets, and then borrow $100,000 from someone else just to leave your home. So there's nothing you can do. So, okay, gray television, 6.5% dividend. Huh. It's a high. No TV. 620. $11. The analyst estimates $11. See, the revenue forecast is not much growth. Free cash flow forecast is positive. So let's just do the valuation. 492, 527. GTN. Why does it do this? It doesn't let you look anymore. I guess they want you to pay. What's the 12%? Okay, 500, 200, 500. I'm going to lower it. It's still really, really undervalued. Not us. Oil, though. Time to buy. Gray television. Gray. Best in class. We're the best television company. So they have television networks all over the country. So they make money by selling ad space, commercials. But who watches television? I haven't watched television in years. You watch Netflix, Hulu. I do tape things on television. So I never watch it live. They own the big four affiliates: Fox, that expires next year, NBC, CBS. So that's all they make money in advertising. Gray streams over 1,000 video channels across every platform. Okay, financial highlights. Finally, they have $2 billion of debt due in 2 years. Okay, revenue has been kind of flat. Cash flow is down. A lot of debt, but it's lowering the debt. I guess that's good. So the cash flow, 900 million. It's like, why invest in any company besides a tech company? There's no upside. The thing is, like, if you like, you look at something like the RSI or those types of indicators, and if you find a spot it's hard though, because you have to like time it almost perfectly, because there's never many times when it seems to go up or up a lot. Like, I guess if you timed it like at 9 and got out at 13, because you can't hold that long, because it just comes right back down. They do pay a dividend, which is pretty amazing, right? Let's see the dividend. Wait, why doesn't it show? Huh. They pay an 8-cent quarterly dividend. But how come? That's weird. A 6.5% yield. Gray sets date for second quarter earnings release. Okay. Okay. In May, they announced a quarterly dividend of 8 cents. Dividend is payable on June 28th. So they do pay a dividend. It's not a bad dividend. It's so risky, these stocks. What others? You ever use Value Line for valuing stock? It's somewhat premium service. It does have all the historical data on companies, though. Value Line, is that is it does it go back far and get your free trial today? So Meta, oh, that 540. Oh, I thought it was like 520. It's getting up there, Meta. They're going to do a stock split at some point. Zuckerberg has been selling a lot, which concerns me a little bit, but it's getting up there. Amazon's doing well. I have finally, I bought a lot of Amazon for my wife. It's finally, because my Meta is doing so well, and I feel bad that her stuff isn't doing as well. Munger and Buffett talk about Value Line. They have used it. Yeah, maybe I'll check it out. I thought Buffett didn't use computers. Amazon, I've been saying it for a while. I think it was really undervalued, and it's because when you see a company like Nvidia, Apple, Microsoft hitting the $3 trillion, I think it easily double. I mean, if you want to put it on, if you say these companies are $3 trillion, I think this should be $3 trillion also, if not more, $4 trillion. They really control everything. They control all the e-commerce business. I mean, they're like probably half the world's e-commerce. I remember I bought it in 2020, May 2020. I bought it in my wife's account, a pretty good amount. I bought it at 112 in May 2020. And I was happy because it was up like 50, maybe not 50, maybe like 35% after just a few months. Like right away, it was up a good amount. And then she was down like 35%. But now she's up to 65%, maybe 70%. So it's getting better now. Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's like, I mean, it worked out. Yeah. But I don't think I did anything that's people like, oh, like, what's the trick to making a lot of money in the stock market? Like, I feel like it's a secret only certain people know about. But like, it's not like people didn't know Meta. It's not like a company I did a ton of research and not many people are talking about. I mean, pretty much most of the money I made were on companies that were pretty well known. I guess my biggest percent gain is not as well known. This is up like 220%. New holdings. I just timed it perfectly almost. I got it at $4 in June 2022. I mean, it was almost at the bottom. It just started trading. I didn't realize it started trading in 20. This happens a lot. It happened with Meta too. Like some stocks there's so much hype when they IPO that the price gets, I guess, driven up a lot more than it should have. And there's a huge sell-off once they IPO. So it went from 12, and I got it in June at 4.25. Not it was lower, 350. And then I was up. It peaked a few months ago, 12.25. So 188%. And then it started dipping recently, 1048. So I'm up 147%, but I was getting a little concerned. But now it's coming back. June 2022. What do you mean? What do you mean 4 years? June 22 is 2 years. Yeah. So June 2022. This is a little outside my normal. I have my my kind of investment approach, I guess. This is not one of the stocks I would normally invest in, but it paid off. I mean, Johnson & Johnson, I'm still down like 25%. I got it at 170. I think it was in January 2022. I remember when I got the same amount of Meta as I did Johnson & Johnson. It was in January 2022. I put the same amount of money in Johnson & Johnson and Meta. And this is when the market came down a lot. that's when I sold my business and I put half my money into these two stocks. Why do they make it so hard to read? Okay, so January 2022. Alrighty. So right here, I put my money to, and then by the end of 2022, I think I was up like 10% on Johnson & Johnson. And I was down like 50% on Meta. And I was like, I wish I just put it all into Johnson & Johnson. But now I'm like up like 100% in Meta and down 25% Johnson & Johnson. So, you always look back and like, oh, I should have did that. I should have did that. But then, in the long run, you find out what the true value is. In the short term, you don't really know. It's just a lot of noise. Okay. Anything else? Did we miss anything or? Gold bars. So who said we'll invest in GLD? Yeah, I know a lot of people who just been putting their money in a money market account, getting 4%, and the market's up like 80% in like the past year. So, and people are like, oh, 4%, I'm guaranteed to get 4%. That's like 20 years of investing at 4% for the past year. You just got to put your money in the market. You're gonna lose a lot. Just put it into like an index. Yeah, gold is trading at everything's up. How is silver compared to gold? I think silver is down, right, recently? It's definitely more volatile than gold. In 5 years, silver is up 100% in 5 years. Gold is up 67%. That's interesting. But in 2 years, silver is beating gold. Wow, silver is beating gold every time frame. But the thing is, you can never make a ton of money in commodities. Well, actually, no. Since 2007, gold is up 300%, which is okay, which is a good return. Silver's up 140%. But they tend to they don't really shoot up. They're more steady commodities. They don't really, you won't see like a constant growth. They kind of go up and down. They do go up over time, but it's much less severe than like a good company. Bitcoin getting close to 60,000 again. So it did it in 2021. It did break through 60. It really moves around a lot, right? But then when it comes down, you just think, oh my God, it's going to go to zero. So you never want to buy it. But I guess you want to buy it when it reaches these high levels. That's when people generally buy it. They don't really buy it when it's low. Well, it did get just this year, and if it went from 71, now it's coming down. But would you buy Bitcoin now at 58? Most people would say, no, I'm not going to buy it now. It's going down. But I mean, at what point can you say that? Because it's going to go back up. It's almost guaranteed. Dogecoin is doing well too, right? Well, not well. It's up 68% in 2 years. Do you guys own crypto? I bought 100 of Bitcoin, but I gotta remind myself to buy more Bitcoin. It's a long stream. Crypto is awesome. It's good. It's here to stay. I think I think cash will always be around, even in like 100 years. But Bitcoin, there's a place for it. It seems. And it's much more efficient because like using cash or using credit cards, it's just so expensive. You have to pay like 2-3% interest, and you have to wait sometimes like a day, 2 days, 3 days, which is crazy because banks transfer money in a split second, and then you have to wait 3 days for it to hit your account. That's how companies make money. On float. That's how banks make money. Well, that's not the only way, but that's a big way they make money. Because if you're a bank, if you're a big bank and you have 100 billion, that's a lot. 10 billion of cash every day, right? It moves from one account to another. It's just, people buying things, people selling things. So if the bank say 1% interest, okay, annual percentage rate. APR is annual percentage rate. I'm making DPR is daily percentage rate. So if you're a bank with $10 billion moving between accounts, what you do is you delay it 1 day. Like if somebody wants to buy something, say somebody wants to buy a car, so they have to wire $50,000 to to the car dealership. So the bank says, yeah, it will get there by tomorrow. Even though the bank could do it, it's a split second to do it. But the bank delays it a day so they can hold on to cash, and then they invest it. And they would get $270,000 every day just by sitting on a cash for one day. And if they do 2 days, if they just hold the cash 2 days, they get $500,000 every single day. So it's called float. That's a big way some banks make money. Because banks aren't like using your money, like they're not. Well, they are lending out money, so I guess I shouldn't say that. I like Coinbase. If there's one stock, if you want to get into crypto, like have exposure to crypto, I think that's probably the best way to do it. Coinbase. And it's done really well. Well, let's compare it to Bitcoin. They should move together. Okay, so year to date, Bitcoin is up 23%. Coinbase is up 17%. No, wait, is this? That was weird. I wonder why it did that. Okay, so year to date, Bitcoin is up 36%, Coinbase up 29%. In the past year, well, Bitcoin is going to definitely move a lot more up and down. Obviously, it's going to be more volatile, but they should kind of move together. Coinbase wasn't even a company until 2021, April 2021. So since Coinbase came out, since they started trading, they're down 15%, while Bitcoin is down 3%. That's interesting, right? In 3 years, they're both down a little bit. I thought Bitcoin, but look how much they move together. Like, look at, I mean, they're almost, I want to say perfect, but they're highly correlated. But it's kind of like if you want to get exposure into industry, just go for the pick and shovel industry. Like NVIDIA is a good pick and shovel. Like they're not. NVIDIA doesn't actually do anything with AI. They sell the chips, and then Google does something with AI. They bring it to life. It's kind of like selling the car battery, the battery for the car. Like you can't do anything with just a battery. You can't get anywhere with a battery. It just can sit there. You have to put it inside a car. So like a car manufacturer, they're the ones who bring it to life. The pick and shovel is just kind of support. But you can make a ton of money in pick and shovel business. Much lower risk. The scalability is much higher. You can scale a lot easier than like Tesla. It's a lot harder to scale than it is for NVIDIA. What do we do with the growing federal deficit? But the stock market goes down the moment they try to lower the deficit. Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about deficit for a long time now. It's just a way of life. It's just how our country and other countries run on debt. And that's the reason we can't lower we can't. We have to inflate. And like inflation is here to stay. Like I always thought, why can't we just make things cheaper instead of making things more expensive? Lower prices, bring everything down, including wages. So I know it's impossible to get things perfectly, but say the average salary in a year is $50,000. The average rent for the year, let's take $1,200, right, a month, and the average food for a year is $12,000, and other is like $10,000. So just say that's the average, and it's always like everything always goes up, right? So next year, the average salary is $51,500. The average rent paid for the year is this much. But I always thought, like, why can't we just bring things down again? So it just makes things cheaper. So instead of next year, the average salary being $51,500, make it $48,500. Everything go down 3%, including rent, food, etc. And then eventually one day we'll be back to like bring it down 40%. So in like 6-7 years, the average salary is lower, but rent and food. So it's just, it's the same thing as everything going up, everything going down. You still have the same buying power in both situations. But I didn't realize this when I was younger because I thought, well, why can't they just do this? Just simplify things. The reason is debt. That's pretty much the only reason. Well, among other things, but that's the main reason. Because debt is kind of fixed in a sense. So say you have $500,000 mortgage. If you make $50,000 a year, I know you have to pay taxes and stuff like that. So it would take 10 years of salary. So your debt over your salary is 10. But imagine you only made $10,000 a year. It would be 50 years to pay your mortgage off. That's why there can't be deflation, because it would blow up the U.S. economy. There'd be no way for them for us to pay interest on the debt. It would just, nobody can afford. And same thing, like when things get really inflated, like in these countries where inflation is like 200% a year or 1,000%, it kind of wipes out debt. Because if you have a $500,000 in debt and you're making $10,000 a year, you're never going to pay your debt off. But what if you were making $500,000 a year? It's nothing. You just pay off your debt. In a couple of years, you just pay off your debt. So inflation eliminates debt. And deflation Okay. Anything else? All right, Coinbase. Yeah, they've done really well. They're up like 300%, right? Like they were like 32. It wasn't that long ago. It was only a little over a year. So they went from 32 from January 2023 to January 2024. They went up like from 270 to 32. It's crazy, right? So it went up 700% in 1 year. Sheesh. I didn't know it was that much. I thought it was like 300%. I mean, that's bottom to top. But I mean, even if you didn't time it perfect, even if you there's like for 6 months it traded below 50. So even if you got it at 50 and sold at 200, you're still up 300%. But that's the thing. Now, at what point? Because in the post-COVID peak, it hit 350. So it's still trading well below that. I mean, it got to 280, and this is just what happens when stocks go up. People take in their profits, and there's a sell-off. So there's always these kind of like ups and downs. And it did come down to 200 from 280 to 200. So it was a pretty big drop. It wasn't like a 5-10%. This is like a 25% drop. But now it's coming back. So yeah, I think probably is a good time to buy. Revenue. Look how high the revenue was in 2021, 7.8 billion. But it's weird revenue. They get what's it called? I always forget. How did Coinbase? It was funny. It was Bernie Madoff came up with the way Coinbase makes money. Bernie. Does anybody know how does Coinbase make money? The live stream monster today. Would you ever stream a video game? Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I never thought about that. A video game, yeah. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? The way they make money, part of the way they make money is like they buy. So say you wanted to buy like Dogecoin. You know, it's $500 Dogecoin, but then there's like 1,000 other people that want to buy Dogecoin too, and it's $1 million of Dogecoin. So that what they would do is they would. I don't know what Doge is trading at. They would find it's trading at 8 cents. So since they're buying a lot of it, they would pay like $0.078. Okay, so okay, so $1 million of Dogecoin. That means that 12.5 million Dogecoins. That's how much they can buy in open market because they're 8 cents each. But they find, since they're buying in bulk, they find someone to sell for 0.078. So they make 0.002 cents for each Dogecoin. So, and they don't take any risk. So they make $25,000 with no risk. Well, they're a broker like E-Trade. If you buy crypto from them, you truly don't own the crypto. I'm not sure why you wouldn't own a crypto if you buy from them. They hold it for you like a bank. If you put money into your Chase bank account, they don't hold that money. They lend it out to somebody else, but it's your money. You can access it anytime. But what's the term? I don't know if they still do this, but they made off crypto. It's not illegal, but it's kind of like a shady way to do business. You should make money on the fees you charge, not I can't believe nobody knows what I'm talking about. I talk about it in my Coinbase video. I can't remember the term. It was one of the earlier videos. I don't know if I probably talked about it. Not arbitrage. I guess it's similar to arbitrage, but it's not like illegal. It's not like they're doing something illegal. It's just kind of a little like unethical, I guess. But sheesh, what's going on? Can you hear this? Can you hear the video? I could hear it. Oh, no, it's Robinhood. It's wait, it's Robinhood. I'm thinking about, not Coinbase. Robinhood made off. Wait. Free trade. I can't. Yeah, GTN. I don't think it looks good. I don't know if I'm going to figure this out. Can anybody hear my video? Yeah, I don't know why it does that. Damn, it's so slow. Payment for order flow. That's it. Jeez, took a long time. Payment for order flow. PFOF. I gotta write that down. So next time, it's in my phone too. I should have just looked at my phone. Okay, payment for order flow. Okay. Okay. This is the compensation broker receives for routing trades to execute. Okay. But allowing may include better execution prices. Okay. PFOF has been criticized for creating potentially unfair conditions at the expense of traders. Okay. So, okay. Investors have to appreciate how no trade is really okay. So, and this is why no trade is really free, since if they aren't paying for the services involved in trading, then someone else is. As reports from researchers don't. Okay, this is a good example. Okay, commission-free trading. You know how like all brokers don't charge commissions anymore? They used to, but it's like exchanging currency at an airport. You can do it for free, but the spreads are awful, and you get a terrible like if you have $1 US, maybe 1.5. Say $1 US is 1.5 British pounds. But if you went in the airport, they'll probably give you like 1.4 pounds. You know, you get you don't have to pay a fee, but you get a terrible exchange rate. I'd rather pay a fee if I'm getting a better exchange rate. So, okay, changes in complexity of trade. Okay, how does it work? Okay, brokers get paid by routing client orders to them. In 2010s, brokers were forced into a race for the lowest fees possible. It can come as a free trade. Investors use brokerage services to buy, sell, but they might not know the broker's arrangements. Okay, suppose. Okay, so here's the example. I wish they just. Doge is rubbish. Suppose you use broker XYZ, and they have commission-free trades. So that's why you go with them. And you want to buy 100 shares of a company called Technocorp at the market price. Here are the steps involved. So you place your order with the broker, 100 shares. Instead of sending the order directly to a stock exchange, XYZ brokerage routes the order to a third-party market maker, alpha market makers, from which it will get a PFOF. Alpha makers pays XYZ a small fee for each trade they receive. For example, Alpha might pay XYZ 1 penny per share. So for your order, they get $1, 100 shares, penny each. And now Alpha, they execute your order. They may buy shares at Technocorp at $50 each and sell them to you at $50.05, earning a 5-cent spread. What do you think? F you, loser. Who are you talking to? Neil? Doge is rubbish. I own some Doge. What do you think of chewing? Neil, why are you getting so upset? Did someone say something? I don't see anything. So it's kind of like a shady way to do business. Like they sell your trades to a market maker, and then they like you might not get the best deal. Like when I buy and sell stock, I'm buying it from somebody else. Like I might be buying from you. So it's oh, you're mad. He just said I own Doge. It wasn't. He wasn't like criticizing you. So Chewy. I like Chewy a lot. It's just I still think it's kind of overvalued. I think that they have like a stranglehold on the pet food market. It has been coming down a lot. It was 118, now it's 25. It was in the low teens. So 11 billion revenue, 11 billion market cap. So they have a price sales of 1. That's a good price of sales. 17 price to book. They're trading at 83 times forward PE. They're not really making much money profitability wise. You see, they just became profitable. But I think, yeah, I guess it is a good price now. 20s is good. Did you see the my Nike video? It takes so long. I don't track my videos, like it's just too many to track. But look, I did a video on Nike 5 months ago, February. They were trading at 101 and my calculator price was 77. So this is 5 months ago. I mean, it's up there. So I said 77. Look where it is now. It's at 75. Isn't that's pretty good, right? And it kills me, like I watch some YouTubers and I learn nothing from. I'm not saying they're dumb, and I just don't learn anything. They're supposed to teach you about finance, like 5 million subs, and it's such a basic, like the things they tell you is just so basic. I don't really get anything out of it. And sometimes I don't think I have a new target. I mean, I will have a new target, I guess. I mean, that video is 5 months old. So if it's more than 3 months old, then I have the latest quarterly financials. So the only time it changes, usually, not the only time, but 90% of the time, it'll change based on quarterly earnings. Unless there's some like huge lawsuit or some crazy thing happening. But usually it just changes with how they report their earnings for the quarter and their new forecast for the remainder of the year. Then my valuation may change, but it probably wouldn't change much. And I mean, sometimes I do put a little, I alter it a little bit. Like if I do a DCF, like today I did, like I think the GTN, it was like $50 a share or something. So I just thought it was way too high. Like I want to make it sound somewhat reasonable, or at least so I may raise the WACC a little or lower or raise the free cash flow. No, I'm not going to buy Nike. I just don't think, I just too risky. I don't know. I don't have much faith in these companies. Like I'd rather buy Chewy than Nike. Like I could see a future with Chewy. Nike, I mean, they're a great company, but it's just a rough industry. I mean, selling brick and mortar, and they have brick and mortar retail stores. They also sell, most of the stuff they sell goes into stores. I mean, they have online too, but the PE looks EQR Avalon Bay. I haven't looked at them in a while. Yeah, I'll be right back. Yeah, I wonder if there's a game I should play. Somebody mentioned playing games. What's a money game? Stock market game. Equity residential, EQR, 26 billion market cap, 4% yield. A 66 RSI. It was 90 2 years ago. 55 9 months ago. You really have to look at the underlying properties. It's so hard to, and it's not straightforward looking at the assets. It's very nuanced. What's the forward? The thing is, PE is usually not that great. You want to look at sometimes funds from operations, but I think EBITDA is fine, or free cash flow is fine also. 68.26. EQR. I know that question is a matter of opinion. If Nike is at its fair value target price, how much further would it need to go down to look at a potential buy and percentage? I don't know. I usually don't value stocks like that. Like I usually don't buy. Like if I like a stock, I buy it. If I don't like a stock, I don't buy it. Very rarely. I did with Netflix though. When Netflix came down, I sold out of something about Netflix. I always wanted to own Netflix. And then after 6 months, I was still down 50% of my Netflix. Now I'm up like 80%, so it worked out. But it's really. I did that with Disney also. I bought Disney at like 85. When I saw Disney come down a lot, I was like, it's just too low, Disney. I bought it 85. Now I don't think I'm up that much anymore. 98. Because I was up. I got it in August at 86. Oh no, it was August 2023, obviously. Yeah, I got it 86, which I think was a good point. It's pretty much at its all-time or 10-year low or something. And then when it was 120, I was pretty happy. It's coming down again, but I think I got a pretty good buying point. I don't think there's not much resistance in it coming down much further. So this stock, which I can't remember the ticker anymore. EQR. I'm at 49. It doesn't look like a great value, but I can't do this anymore. Okay, yeah, 49. You think it would be a cheaper, right? Yeah, who knows? Everything seems risky, you know. It's like everything's going up so much. Like it's hard to find a good value. Equity residential. Equity residential. Hey, Winter. How's it going? Okay, okay, apartment buildings. The 5th largest owner of apartments in the U.S., 16th largest apartment property manager in the U.S. I thought about that, becoming a property manager, because you don't have to actually own the property. You just have to manage it. So like if there's like an apartment complex with like 100 units, and say the average monthly rent is like 3,500. So so 350K in rent. And you know, as a property manager, I think it's usually 5 or 6%. Let's say you charge the high, you're a really good one. So your income for the month is 21K. So you don't have to spend any money on like fixing the property. That's the owner of the property does that. You just have to coordinate everything. So if something breaks in someone's unit, obviously your people in the unit are responsible if they break it. But if it's something like the heating, you know, the air conditioning unit or the plumbing, you're responsible. Well, the owner of the property is responsible, but you have to coordinate it. You have to maybe find a plumber. But also, property managers are responsible for making sure rent is paid, and if it's not paid, just stay on top of the tenant. Maybe charge a late fee, and if tenants move out, you have to find new tenants. So you may have to have a staff of people under you to help you. But it's interesting business. So you can be a property manager and manage a lot of properties. You just need a staff of people. With the U.S. market on such a tear, what do you think about Chinese equities, Baba? Well, they're always really, really undervalued, right? Like it seems like they're always a good buy. 75, 178. I remember I got Baba at 80. I sold it at a 10% gain, but I was up like 30% at one point. 154, 184, 195. So I'm at 126. They're trading at 75 for Baba. Yeah, when did I buy Baba? I bought it at 88. I don't know when, but it was a while ago. I remember, it was 300, and I remember my friend kept talking about it, and I think he got in at like 150. Yeah, I think I got in right before this drop right here, like around September, probably. And then I saw it below 70, and I was like, I was gonna buy it. I was gonna put a really big order in when it was like below 70, and I missed it, and it ran up, and I'm like, oh god, I could have made so much money. But then I'm like, if I just would have waited, it went right back down to 70. So it's not like, well, the government, that's the big risk. It has nothing to do with Baba, as a company making money. It's just the government. Munger lost a lot of money. He kept putting in billions into Baba. Yeah, a lot of these Chinese stocks are just so beaten down. JD. There's that one Chinese stock. It's like PDD. That's doing really well, right? That's up a lot, 600%. They sell to farmers. They sell products to farmers. That's up a ton. I mean, wow. It was as low as it's hard to tell what the price was, but yeah, PDD is really good. Better idea to be concentrated in Baba, JD, or buy FXI to have exposure to the index. I wouldn't invest in anything China related. Okay, yeah, thanks, Blade. John Deere, that was an interesting company. I never really looked at John Deere too much until that video. Okay, well, I guess I'm getting kind of bored. It's been almost 4 hours. It was a good stream, I think, right? It's good to talk shop and look into the stuff a little deeper. So thanks a lot. I may see you tomorrow. I appreciate it. Hopefully I get to 40,000 subs this year. It'll probably take me 3 months to get 1,000 more subs. Okay, I'll talk to you later. See ya.